So in this video we're going to talk a little more about pointers. I'm going to talk about a relationship between pointers and arrays, and then we're going to talk a little bit about dynamic memory allocation. That's what we're really going to talk about. So what I'm going to do right now is create a little array here. Well, let's do this first. Now let's create our array. So we know that we can always find the first element of an array by referencing the 0th index of the array, right? And that will pull up the first element. Give it a second to compile. Yeah, number 1. So it turns out that an array name is also the first element of, is a pointer to the first element of an array. So watch this. There's the memory address, as you expect. Let's change that. Let's dereference. And there's the first value. So it turns out that arrays and pointers are very closely related. So we can get the second element of the array by doing something called pointer arithmetic. So what we should see here is a 2. There we go. And so you can figure out the rest. So what that means is that I can write a loop to display all the elements of the array. And notice that I have to put the arithmetic in parentheses. That way I make sure that I get the right order of operations. So let's run that. And there's my elements. Oops, it went a little bit too far. What did we do wrong here? Oh, that's because we still have that down there. So let's take that out. I'll run that again. Sorry. There we go. So not much to talk about there other than just to point out that you can use an array name as a pointer. Not that that's a very standard thing to do. You would not normally loop through an array using pointers. You would instead use it using indexed or array access like you normally do. But understand that you can. So the next thing I want to talk about is dynamic memory and pointers. And so it turns out that you can create new memory using pointers. So the key to this is the keyword new. And the keyword new says go to memory, in this case it's called the heap memory, and allocate enough memory on the heap for an integer, whatever the compiler requires for that. Might be 8 bytes, might be 4 bytes, whatever it is. And that's going to be assigned to this pointer. And then once I do that, then I can assign that pointer a value. Like so. And there's a value. If we just want to see what's there, let's try using the, well, let's take that. We don't need the dress up operator. Let's see what we get when we just hit the pointer. Okay, so the pointer is pointing at a memory address, just like we're used to. And so if we don't dereference the pointer, then it points at a memory address. So you can create new memory if you need it that way. When you're done, you should always delete that memory by writing a delete. And that's not going to change anything in our code, but that just reclaims that memory. If you don't do so, you may have heard this term before, memory leaks. A memory leak is when a bunch of memory is allocated using pointers or dynamic memory allocation and then not reclaimed using the delete keyword. Then eventually your program can run out of memory, and when it does that, then you've got a big problem. You can also let's do this. Try to be consistent here. You can also create dynamic arrays the same way. Let me comment out the code from above. There we go. Actually, we don't want to do it like that. We want to do 0 through less than, I minus 1. Okay, or I plus 1 actually. Run that code. Oops, okay, so we don't have to deallocate here. So hang on a second. To assign, don't have to do that. And then we can display it very same way. And let's run that program. And there's our dynamic array. When we're finished, we have to tell we want to delete it by making sure that we put the square brackets before. Okay, you won't see anything in the output, but it's deleted. Alright, so that wraps up this last video on pointers, and in this video we talked about arrays and pointers and the close relationship between an array and a pointer, and we also talked about how to create dynamic variables and dynamic arrays using the new keyword to allocate memory and the delete keyword to reclaim memory. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.